Queens. Welcome back to another episode of Faith Helps Podcast, and I'm your host, Diamond. And if this is your first time joining, what's up? Hello, welcome. I saw that I had a few new subscribers, so I just want to personally say thank you for subscribing, and like, share, and get others to subscribe too, if it's going to be beneficial to them. If you found it beneficial, I'm glad. Hopefully I can continue to be a benefit to your life and to continue to be an encouragement as well, and challenge you to accomplish all the things that you are aspiring to do. If this is not your first time and you're a returner, welcome. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you're still rocking with us, and we're just going to go ahead and get into it. So let me tell you what's been on my mind. Lately, I have been feeling a particular burden for encouraging others. I feel like a lot of times the things that I'm going through in my personal life, I always end up also kind of attracting people with the same issues to me, and it turns into this kind of like beautiful thing of this like partnership. And I think at the end of the day, that's what God intended, is for us to be able to come together and share each other's burdens, and to also share and encouraging each other. With one of my friends, we've been in this season where we know it's like one of us, our faith will be up here about a particular thing, and then the other one will be like here, and we pull each other up when that happens, and that allows us to keep it going, right? So you need those type of people in your life. But never mind the point. Today, what I particularly wanted to bring to this episode is a discussion of this issue I'm seeing in our culture of just like the death of creativity. I know that sounds crazy, because it's like, oh, like people are being more creative than ever, and there's this new like almost like boom in the field of like being a creative, and particularly on social media, and like everyone's saying, oh, I'm a content creator, and those sorts of things. And while I think, yes, that's happening, what I'm also seeing is this pattern of people recycling and trying to mimic what they've seen other people do, and they're losing their own authenticity in the process because they're trying to be exactly like this person that they watch. God gave you a unique identity for a reason, not for you to become someone else that He called into their own purpose. You have a purpose for yourself, right? And I think another thing that's happening is, one, we are trying to do what we're seeing other people do the way that they do it, and we're forgetting that you offer a unique spin on whatever it is that you feel called, pulled, or interested in doing. Some things is not a calling, some things you're just interested in doing. When I started making jewelry, that was absolutely not a calling, but I enjoyed it, and that's why I pursued it. And so it's important to know the difference, because when you are playing around with something that you're being called to do, and you're just not going back to the creator who created you and has the blueprint for what He designed and formed you to do, then you end up messing it up and missing the mark, because you in somebody else's lane when you should be over here in yours, right? You over here and you should be here. You over here, but you should be here, okay? But that's the thing that I'm seeing, is like this death of creativity, despite the fact that we're seeing so much more content creators and web designers and all this other forms of creativity coming up. My question to you is the creativity you're producing authentic to you and in alignment with what you feel passionate about and who you are, and also what you feel like God has gifted you to do, and provided space for you to bring into this world, right? I think that's one thing. But this other thing that I'm seeing, I'm curious for you guys to drop your comments and the thoughts about what you think about this piece. I feel like we in this generation, where we have so much media to consume, so much content to consume, we have TV shows, Netflix, subscriptions, and all these different podcasts, including mine. We have all these different television shows. Goodness gracious, I can't keep up with them. We have like all this stuff that we can consume. I'm worried that we are being entertained to the point of death. And what brought this in perspective was actually a conversation I was having with one of my clients about their particular like social media content. And they painted this very vivid picture, their social media consumption. They painted this very vivid picture of them kind of just like lying at home and scrolling, and they didn't realize how many hours had passed of them just scrolling. And the thing that stood out is they were like, Diamond, but the entire time it wasn't like I was mindlessly scrolling. Like, it was actually entertaining. Like, everything that I was watching was funny, and it did give me that dopamine hit, and it made me feel good. But then the consequence was that they were exhausted the next day, and they weren't able to fully give their best self to their work the next day because they stayed up for X amount of hours just scrolling. And as they were like sharing this, I literally saw this image of people just like mindlessly scrolling and watching and sitting in front of TVs and sitting in front of screens and constantly consuming because it feels good and it's giving you your laugh and it's your self-care for the day, but you're wasting away hours. If 2022, 2023 didn't show me anything, one thing that it did show me for sure is that time is too expensive to waste away. These like past like 2-3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023, it showed me how valuable time is, and you cannot waste it on things that are unfruitful and unhelpful and out of purpose and distracting you and bringing you into a path in a lane that is not yours. And not only that, it's wasting your creativity, it's wasting your potential, it's wasting your power. A lot of times we get so consumed with consuming that we don't even realize how we have just been throwing away our time, throwing away our energy, throwing away our purpose, throwing away our identity. And what I want to say to the person who would argue back, oh, I have tomorrow to do it, oh, I have time to do it, oh, I have my whole life ahead of me. Who told you that? Who told you that? Assuming you have more time is the most arrogant thing you could ever do, is assuming you have more time. I have so many people that I've encountered and who have been in my heart and in my thoughts who thought that they had more time. And I'm not just talking about death. Yes, that can happen too. You can die, right? In reality, we're all going to die. But it's not just death. You don't know what life has ahead of you and what casualties, what unfortunate events could happen, such as health. Health is not guaranteed. We think about the big picture of like our life. We have our whole lives ahead of us. But who said that you would have the health ahead of you? Who said that you would have the vitality to do what you are actually called to do? Who said that you would have the energy and the focus? You have no idea what could happen. Take it even a step further, not just thinking about your lifespan and your health and your ability to functionally do the things that you've been called in purpose in, or even the things that you're interested in doing or passionate to do and want to do. Beyond that, you also are arrogant in the fact to think that everything in life is going to stay the way it is in perfect alignment for you to be able to do that, right? I know people who personally had a whole plan of something that they want to implement and they wanted to do, but life circumstances happened to people they were connected to, such as family members and parents, and they ended up having to be a full-time caretaker to someone, and they had to put their dream, their goal, regardless of how quote unquote small or quote unquote big it was, they had to set that on the shelf because they had all of this energy, time, and attention that they had to devote to this new responsibility. You never know what's going to happen. So it's so arrogant of us to think that we have tomorrow to do it, or next week to do it, or even next year to do it. Do it now. If you have the energy, the time, the attention, the resources to do it now, do it now. And if you don't have those things, you can get started. You can get started. Even if it's simply getting a paper and a pen and writing it out, right? And so that's something that I've not only been seeing coming up with people, or even myself. I have to check myself sometimes too, because there are times where I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to do that later. But then I have energy to watch and binge watch comedy shows, right? And so I had to kind of check myself like, okay, Diamond, it's an issue of priorities. What are your priorities? What is important to you? Think about that. Drop the pride, drop the ego for a second. Be real vulnerable and honest with yourself. Be very clear with yourself and say, what is it that I value? What are my priorities? That can be a sobering thought when you realize that you are not allowing your actions to match what you're saying that you're prioritizing. And if you aren't, it's not like this huge problem of like, oh, well, it'll never happen, or oh, well, all is lost. No, it's never too late. So long as you have breath in your body and you're able, and God is still waking you up and giving you other opportunities to work on that thing, do it. Nike, just do it. So I wanted to make this not just a encouraging message and to challenge you to be honest with yourself, and I don't want this to just be like a scolding. I hope it doesn't feel that way, even though my energy might be given scolding. It's just how I talk when I'm passionate, and when I'm talking about certain things, I'm not just thinking about how it applies to me and how I can encourage myself through encouraging you. It's also people that have been impressed on my heart that I have in mind as I'm saying these things. And so while I hope it isn't a scolding, I hope that it is a heart check for you. I hope it's a reality check. So to make this a bit more practical, a couple of things I want to invite you to do. All right, let's get out the pen, get out the paper, pause the video. Let's get practical. If you got time to watch this video, you got time to do this. So pause it. Go get a pen and a paper. Matter of fact, you ain't got to do all that. You can open up the Notes app on your phone. And number one, I want you to write down, what are you procrastinating starting? Another way of thinking of that question is, what haven't you worked on or started working towards yet that you know you need to? Secondly, after you've identified that thing, what is your why? Why haven't you started? Why haven't you worked towards it? Why have you been procrastinating on that thing? Write down what it is. What is stopping you? What's the reasons? And beside each of those things, I want you, on a scale of 1 being least important to 10 being most important, where do each of those items fall on that scale? So let's say if your why that you haven't started is because of time management, how important has that been? And when maybe there's another word you could replace important with, but how big of a problem, how significant has that been? Has time management been the main thing that's keeping you, on a 10, it's the biggest thing keeping you? Or has health maybe been a thing that's keeping you? Or fear, anxiety, not knowing how? Rank what, how major each of those things are, right? After you do that, I want you to write down beside each one a way that you could address it, or a way that you could start to address it. Let's use the example of not knowing how to start, right? Maybe that's one of your reasons why you haven't started. Underneath or beside why you haven't started, and you say that's a 10, major thing is that you just don't know how. Maybe one way that you can start addressing that is by researching. Maybe you don't know where to start researching. We have the beautiful internet, and we have YouTube University, darling. Choose one. You can find it. That doesn't work. ChatGPT is free. Create a Google email. Use it. Type in your question. and it'll at least give you some direction to where to start. And consider who you can reach out to for advice and for feedback in addressing this, right? And so one of the things that sometimes people say is, I don't know if I can do it. When it comes to anything that's related to insecurities or your fear of failure, you have to kind of check with yourself. Is this something that I've tried before, and fear of when I failed in the past is still lingering and controlling and directing me today? Is that something that's happening? Check yourself and write down, okay, what happened last time and how can we address it this time and prevent it from repeating itself, okay? Failures are not just like something that is a sign that you should give up and let go. Sometimes it's a lesson. Sometimes it's information and data showing you like, okay, this is what didn't work, this is what does work, this is what didn't work then, maybe it works now. Like, navigate it, restructure it, reflect on it. When it comes to fear of failure, or insecurities, it's also like, how are you speaking about what you're trying to accomplish? If you're constantly telling yourself, it's so hard to do this, it's so hard to do this, then yeah, it's gonna feel so hard to do this. The moment you try to tackle that project or tackle that venture or that goal, if you've already put yourself in this mindset of this is gonna be too hard to do, then your motivation and your ambition to do it is gonna follow. You're not gonna be as enthusiastic, you're not gonna have as much energy, you're not gonna have as much bandwidth, and your tolerance is gonna be lower because you've already set in your mind that it's super hard and you already defeated yourself before you even tried. So check how you're talking about whatever the thing is, whatever the goal is. Oh, this is going to be so uncomfortable. Maybe it will be uncomfortable, but you telling yourself before you even get started, this is going to be so uncomfortable, it's not helping you. It's not helping you. So change your language. We've talked so much on this podcast and previous episodes about how you're talking to yourself and how you're talking about other people. I'm going to keep saying it until you get it. How are you saying you want to take on this challenge? If you feel like it's a challenge, okay, I have the ability to overcome this. I am smart enough to do this. I have the resources to do this. I believe in myself enough. I am resilient enough. Speak life over yourself and over your abilities instead of just constantly discounting yourself the moment you see some opposition or the moment you see some frustration. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. I know that's a cliche, but if you think about it, it's a cliche that we kind of run past and we just say, but we don't process it. Anything that's hard is gonna require a little bit of effort. You can't give up and say, oh, it must not be meant to be, the moment you see some opposition or some tension there. Get excited about that tension. Get excited about it and use it as fuel, right? For me, when I'm encountering a challenge or when something's getting a little frustrated, I might have my moment of like, okay, all right. This didn't work out as easily as I thought it would be the first time, but I got you. Because one thing that I will prove, not just to you, but to myself, is that I can do this and I do have the ability to do this because God has already spoken life and winning and prosperity and strength and power and wisdom over me. So I'm going to tap into that version of me. Greater is He that is in me. So I have to remember that I'm not doing this on my own. Even if it feels like I'm doing this on my own, when I look around me, there is someone within me that is empowering me and giving me the strategy, the creativity, and the vision to be able to bring into fruition whatever I am pursuing. You have to remember that. Write it on a sticky note. Make it the background on your phone. Put it somewhere where you're going to see it every single day, because what you feed your mind is what comes out in your behavior. You get to choose what is going to come out in your behavior by what you choose to feed your mind. I suggest you pick something tasty, like some positive affirmations or some scriptures that encourage you, or motivational quotes, or listening to people that uplift you. One of the people that I know have been so inspirational and motivational to me is every morning lately I've been listening to E.T. the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas. And it motivates me and gives me perspective of, okay, this is what the goal is. This is what I am capable of. I know that I can do this, and I'm going to believe in myself, and I'm not going to give up the first time. I'm not going to give up the second time. I'm going to keep pushing until I see what I am dreaming and believing for coming to fruition, because it is possible. If you can see it, you can do it. If you can visualize it and you have faith for it and you have passion for it, and it's something that that every day is coming on your mind, it's something that you have the ability and enough to do. You are smart enough. You are strong enough. You are more than enough to do the things that you're seeking out, because God already said that you're enough. You just got to believe it. We waiting on you, boo. We waiting on you to believe it. All right? The next thing I want you to do is get a community, get some type of support system. Whenever you're taking on a goal or endeavor, whether it be a therapist, whether it be a life coach, whether it be a mentor or an advisor, but find someone that can guide you, who is an expert or has knowledge and experience in this field, that you can trust or that you look up to, and they pour into you, and they're not immediately meeting you with, I don't think you're cut out for that. That's a red flag. If they say that, that's not the person. Find you another person, boo. It's just like dating. Ooh, next. Okay? So when you are looking for someone, look for someone who's going to inspire you. Look for someone who pulls and challenges the best version of you to come forward. Look for someone who has the time for you and is actually passionate about helping other people. I think that's something that kind of gets missed, is we just look for the expertise and we just look for the skill set and the success that a person has, but are they actually passionate about helping other people achieve their goals or become successful in whatever that field or venture is, right? Because if they're not passionate about it, they're not really devoting time into you. So it's important to make sure it's actually someone who cares. If you're not able to find that person, don't just look for these big name people. There are some people that are sitting around you or in your life, an uncle, or auntie, a cousin, who has so much to offer and give, and you're just bypassing them because they're not a big name or because they are not well known. Forget all that, right? God placed them in your life for a reason. If you're having a hard time identifying them and locating them, pray about it. Ask God, reveal them to me. He will reveal those people to you. He will make it clear. And be open, because it may not be the person that you want or the person you suspect. Cool? The other thing on that is, in the meantime, YouTube University is an option, right? You have E.T. the Preacher, Eric Thomas. You have Tim Ross. You have, I'm naming people that I have found valuable and uplifting to me. There are so many people that are, maybe you can't physically reach out and call them or text them, but the content that they put out can be inspirational and helpful and educational and give you some direction. There are like a lot of people, but I can't go through every single potential outcome. You have to think about, okay, who are the experts in this field that I am working towards, right? Whoever the experts are, I'm sure there's some type of information out there that you don't have to pay for, that you can consume, that you can reach out and replace your Netflix binge with. And so instead of binge watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, you can be binge watching content that's giving you strategy, that's giving you pro tips, that's giving you ideas and giving you thought-provoking questions to reflect on, and giving you information that's planting healthy seeds in your mind so that you can grow and elevate and work towards actually achieving those goals and not just talking about them. So that's your homework. That's your homework for the week. All right. We're going to accomplish some things, and we're not going to just count ourselves out so quickly, and we're not going to give up on ourselves so quickly. I already know that you can do it, but you have to believe in yourself for it. All right. So that's all for this week. And if nothing else, I hope that you guys stay encouraged, stay motivated, remember who you are, and remember who you are called to be. And if nothing else, love on somebody. Remember to love God first and foremost, and love and appreciate yourself. Love and appreciate who you are and all that you have to offer, because there is someone who needs what you have to give. There is someone who needs the gifting and the creativity that you have to offer. Someone's waiting on you. Someone's daughter is waiting on you to create that business plan. Someone's family is waiting on you to start writing that book and actually publish it. Someone's husband is waiting for you to host the conference. You are the only person that's getting in your way. It is literally you. Your insecurities, your self-worth, that you're speaking over yourself, you need to address that and combat that and overcome you, so that you can be all that you've been called and designed and have the potential to be. All right, so I love you guys. Have a lovely week. Keep your head up and go be great. Bye.